Hey friends, we wanted to take a few minutes this morning to talk about what is happening in the real estate market, both nationwide and in Chattanooga. So nationwide and in Chattanooga, we're seeing a lot more stability than we've seen in the last 10 years. Nationwide, appreciation only went up 0.4%. In Chattanooga, from last year to this year, again, we saw a 3.5% appreciation rate. And so it is interesting that Chattanooga is beating the nationwide average. Similarly, the median home price nationwide is 400, and in Chattanooga, it's 355,000. Now, the average price of the home that sells, which of course is the aggregate of the totals, is 400,000 in Chattanooga, but that's just because we're seeing more turnover with homes that are more expensive, particularly driven by the new construction.
Right. Yep.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about just some of that data, some of why things are stabilizing, and mostly what this means for you. So Alyssa, you're working with buyers and sellers all the time in this market. What does this look like, let's say, for a home buyer?
For a home buyer, it means that you may have the opportunity to kind of breathe. Okay. And anytime we're talking about real estate, we have to be mindful. There's no crystal ball. In all of our combined years of experience, we can look at data, we can apply what we've learned, but we're not fortune tellers. But what we are seeing for the most part is it means that you may have a minute to get out and really get an idea of the inventory, really go back, kind of pray on it, think about it, and have a minute to make a home buying decision. Versus feeling like, I saw this house, it's been on the market for 10 minutes, let's go, I need to write an offer.
Yeah, that's relieving.
Yes, it does. It doesn't make you feel so rushed. Now, that being said, if something is priced exceptionally well, if it's in a highly sought after school district, location is key in real estate. So of course we still have those unicorns or those outliners where we will be seeing multiple offers within the first week of being on the market. But for the most overall, when we look at Chattanooga and most home buyers, it is giving you an opportunity to really familiarize yourself with inventory, which is nice. Mm-hmm. It's really nice. It's a big decision, so it's nice to not feel like you are so rushed.
Yeah. And what about interest rates? Where are they right now?
Oh, interest
rates.
Where
do we expect those to go?
I'm old enough to remember the days of a 2%, and that was a really fun time. But sadly, I don't think we're ever going to get there again. It's unfortunate. We're probably not. Now, things have come down a little bit, but we are not seeing huge changes in the market or interest rates. We're seeing gradual declines. So over this past year, we went from maybe the high sixes to more of a mid six overall on a 30-year, just traditional fixed interest rate. And people are predicting Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Zillow. A lot of those sources are predicting we'll get down into the low to high fives over the next year, which would be great. We'll take that versus, the sevens where we were just a couple years ago. So, and what that means for home buyers is it opens up maybe some more affordability. Remember, because what your interest rate is determines your mortgage payment, and that is driven by debt to income ratio. Yeah. So the higher that interest rate is, the less you are going to get approved for a mortgage. So it does open up some doors for buyers.
Yeah.
No,
so
that is true.
What is this looking like for sellers? What is their experience today selling in the market?
I'm seeing a lot of anxiety. I'm seeing a lot of my house should be gone in 7 days. My house should have sold by now.
Where are the multiple offers?
Let's drop the price.
So we're remembering 2020.
Yes. Yeah. And the reality is that's just not today's reality.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. And when we talk again about outliners or unicorns, things like school district, location, there are some really special places in and around Chattanooga where a house goes up for sale and we do see that urgency, but overall for the most point, sellers, you're right, a little anxiety, but from a buyer standpoint, it's giving buyers a moment to kind of breathe and familiarize themselves with the market. And so we're just gently reminding our sellers, hey, while buyers are familiarizing themselves, maybe they're taking the time to come back for a second look at your home. From a seller standpoint, we're just going to sit. We know that you have trusted the lead team to advise you. Your house is being marketed. It's presenting tip-top shape, and we just need to be a little bit patient. So we've seen over the past year where days on market went from about 43 to now we're up to about 50.
Yeah, okay.
But again, if we can just remind all our sellers, hey, everything sells.
Mm-hmm.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep trusting our advice, and we will bring you that offer. It just may take, 50 days or so.
And again, that's an average. There are some places where 50 days is a good sell.
Yes, that's a good point.
And one of the really great benefits of working with the lead team is we dive into your micro market for your listing of your home, because it's your biggest asset.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that we're representing that very well.
What kind of variance are you seeing neighborhood to neighborhood?
I mean, really, it's all about school district.
Okay.
I have really found with a lot of our buyers and sellers, if you get into a place like Signal, or maybe some really special neighborhoods like in Lookout, those are places, North Shore, where we get some of that, not only just location, but the phenomenal public schools. That's where people are really, really driving and seeing those things move pretty darn quick.
Yeah, and I mean, it is interesting, because when we did dive into the data, we saw a lot of variance neighborhood to neighborhood. And so where some neighborhoods were showing, significantly in a seller's market with an average, with an average month supply of 2, other neighborhoods were showing actually a buyer's market.
Yes.
And so it is interesting when you do go out and advise a seller, you can let them know, what kind of market their neighborhood is in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge deal.
It's so huge.
matters.
There's so many variables in that. There really, really are. Yes. Not only just what are things comping out for, but what is our competition? If we're trying to sell something in an area that's a little more saturated with inventory, maybe we're going to look at that a little differently. And you're spot on. Every seller, every buyer, every property, it is a case by case. There's no blanket programming that works for all of real estate. There's just not.
I do wonder how 2 things are affecting the market, like all the new homes, because there's a lot of new homes going up right now, and then also all of the, people moving here.
Yes.
This continues to be one of the top cities to move in the entire nation. So how is all of that impacting the market?
Well, I definitely think that comes into play when we see the national average versus the price increase over average in Chattanooga. That's why nationally we're seeing less than 1% versus Chattanooga's 3.5%. That is because it's a great place to live. Anything just from our infrastructure to our climate to the fact that Chattanooga, I'm sure you guys know this, was just in this past year deemed the first city to be a national park. So there's a lot of drive, a lot of outdoors things, our proximity to Nashville, to Atlanta.
We're really very central.
We are. We really are. An 8-hour drive to New York, Florida. So there's still a lot of drive here and a lot of beautiful things that are bringing people to Chattanooga, which is helping to stabilize and even slowly build up those prices over the national average. Yep.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of that. To think that it's gone up $100,000. Our average sales price has gone up $100,000 in the last 5 years. Is not normal.
No,
not at all.
That is very unique to our city.
And I can see where, for people that have lived in Chattanooga their whole lives, where that can maybe be a little discouraging and frustrating, right? Like you maybe feel like you're getting priced out of the market that you've lived in your whole life. But that's where it's so important to educate yourself and to kind of flip the switch. Maybe I just need to get my foot in the door. Let me be a homeowner. Let me start building that equity and gaining that Chattanooga momentum. Your purchase does not have to be your forever house. Let's just get you building some equity.
That's an interesting point. So one thing I did see is the group of people who went into the market in the 2%, their starter home was a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house, 2,000 square foot. And that actually became the standard for a few years. And now it is kind of a reality shock when it's the same friend groups that's coming into the market now. And now what we're seeing is a 3, 1.5, 2, or a 2, 1 even, as your starter home and your entry point. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, so much of that is driven by interest rate, you guys. So if you were one of those people that was able to lock in a 2 or 3%, now you're saving, my goodness, depending on the price of the house, you could be saving $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month over someone that is having to lock in, let's say, a 6% interest rate.
So it's twice the affordability.
It's just not apples to apples, right? So again, find me the time machine. Let's go back and I'll swoop up some more things at a 2%. I guess you guys probably would too. But again, that's just where it is our job to set really clear expectations. It just is. And sometimes what we have to tell people they don't want to hear, but it's always going to be the truth and it's always going to be in their best interest.
Well, the nice thing about real estate is that it always appreciates.
Yes.
You know, and you're building wealth in multiple streams. So you're building wealth through the appreciation
Yes.
of the asset. You're building wealth through paying down your mortgage.
Right.
And then if you do decide to rent, you're also often building wealth on a monthly basis where you're
diversifying
you're
that stream of
adding
income.
to your income.
Yep, absolutely.
And so, you know, that's the great thing about our job and what we do, helping people, is because, you know, they can count on it.
Yes.
Dirt's not going to disappear.
Yes.
And it's not going to be more of it.
Right.
Once
There's
it's
no
gone,
dirt.
it's gone.
Once it's gone, it's gone. That's spot on. Yeah.
As we look at all of this data and really consider what it means for a home seller or a home buyer in this market, what we're seeing is that it takes knowledge to stand out. Those sellers who put their home on the market, staged, marketed with excellence, and priced correctly are seeing a different result than the ones who kind of slide it in there, who don't price it correctly, where the average home takes 50 days to sell. We're seeing quite a variance within that. And so we're seeing homes that sell within 30 days. We're seeing homes that sell 6 to 9 months. And a lot of that has to do with knowing your market, knowing your competition, knowing your buyer, and then having clear expectations on how long that might take to sell.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
The other thing is just as a buyer, you know, having like, I love when our buyers work with either of you because you bring so much knowledge to the table and you equip them to, yes, be competitive, but also be wise.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that we're seeing from time to time is just crazy overpriced listings.
Yes. Yes.
And so to know what is the actual market value,
Right.
it's not necessarily the sticker price.
Right.
And so that is something too where I think knowledge is just huge in this market.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good point, and I'm glad you said that. And not that we want to toot our own horn, but between us and the Lee team, all of our years of experience, not only in real estate and mortgages, but also ourselves being homeowners, residential landlords, short-term vacation rental owners, that is something that I think is so valuable and something we really can offer our buyers and sellers in setting expectations. And not only what are your goals? You know, is this a short-term goal? Is this a long-term goal? You don't know. Well, maybe we need to shift gears so that this one property, maybe you could diversify streams of income off of it one day, or just really getting an understanding of what your goals are and helping guide you to the right property for that, because it is a little bit of a matchmaking game.
Yeah.
Not every property is going to serve every buyer. It's just not in what your real estate goals are.
Yeah,
So-
and that consultative approach, I feel like, is what sets us apart.
Oh,
and just
yes.
you are so good at it.
Yes.
I'm thankful.
Well,
you
it's
know?
more than just a commission check. And I know we all
Yeah.
feel this way. We want you to be clients for life.
Absolutely.
So we need to help you have a solid real estate portfolio. So,
Yeah, I can't tell you the amount of times we've talked ourselves out of business.
oh gosh, yes, infamous.
'Cause
Yes.
it's whatever's in the heart of our clients and what's in the
Yes.
best interest for them. And we're always going to be honest. If this isn't a good property, or if we feel like, hey, this might be a red flag, you're welcome to purchase anything. We're just going to be very honest about it.
Yes.
I love that
Yeah.
about you two ladies.
Yeah.
It's true.
Sometimes we're a fun sponge,
I get
but it's going to be solid information.
We're just protective of our clients.
Yes,
We
very
don't want you to make a bad investment that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. Spot on. Yep.
As we get into more and more of this data, it does become more and more consultative.
Yeah.
And so if you want to know more about specifically how does this impact you, whether you're looking to sell your home, maybe interested in getting into investing in real estate, perhaps you're interested in moving up, but you're not sure if that's even realistic with as high as prices are going, feel free, reach out to us. We would be happy to sit down with you and advise you. And we'd be happy to talk about what's happening and how that impacts you and how you might best be able to maximize your goals.
Absolutely. We love what we do. We're blessed with what we do. And yeah, just a conversation is fun.
That's true.